Okay, this is my second video now that I'm making, and I got a lot of feedback from the first video, and thank you for that. And what I learned from feedback to the first video is that the first video sucked, and it sucked because it was boring. And I think there were probably three major reasons that people thought the first video was sucky and boring. And the first reason was that the story I told was a very boring story that no one cared about. And I think that's true. And the second reason that people didn't like the video was because my voice in that video was very boring and flat and hard to listen to. And I think a lot of that was because I had a cold. But I don't have a cold anymore, so I think that should be alleviated a little bit, although I still have a boring voice, and, well, that's just how it is. But the third reason I think was the most important reason, and that was because I was a stick figure, and stick figures are boring, because nobody likes stick figures at all. Compared to stick figures, I think you'll find that dinosaurs are much more inherently interesting. And so for the second video, I will be a dinosaur, which is interesting. I don't know what kind of dinosaur exactly I am. I think the idea is that I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I say that because I have big fangs and because that's probably the most famous dinosaur that there is. I don't know how much you know about dinosaurs, but I played with a lot of little plastic dinosaurs when I was a kid, and I had a little coloring book about dinosaurs. So I think I'm kind of an expert, and I have a lot of opinions about dinosaurs. And one of my opinions is that the best kind of dinosaur is not the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but the best kind of dinosaur is the Ankylosaurus, because he has a lot of armor and so nobody can bite him, and he has a tail that can break your leg. And so I think, if I could pick a dinosaur to be, that's the dinosaur I'd be. And if you ever get a chance to pick to be any kind of dinosaur, that's the one you should pick, in my opinion. But, they didn't really have that in this, for this camera, so I can't be Ankylosaurus. They only have this Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is what I am. And then in the background they have two Brontosauruses there in front of the volcano. And then flying up there, I think that's a pterodactyl, although it really looks like a biplane. But I don't think dinosaurs had those. So you may have noticed that little glitch right there, and that was because I had to stop making my video and help my wife clean the house. And so, I think I should probably help my wife clean the house, even though really I don't want to. But, I'm going to have to help her clean the house, so sometimes you'll see a little glitch like that, and what that means is that I got up and I cleaned the toilet, and then I came back, and now I'm here. So I'm not going to make you watch me clean the toilet. I'm just going to stop the camera and come back later, because I feel that that might be boring for people who are watching the video. And I've learned one lesson from the first video, and that is don't make people watch something that's boring. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what I really want to talk about. And what I wanted to talk about first was I want to talk about Greg Easterbrook. And I wrote something about him, it was probably almost a week ago, I guess, but I'm just getting around to it now. And what I wrote, well, there's this web page called Blogometer, and I guess what they do is they go and they read the whole internet, and then they write about the things that they found. And they found that thing I wrote, and this is what they wrote about it. They wrote, "Adding blogosphere insult to injury, the Poor Man Institute piles on Easterbrook but refuses to even link to his piece. So when I write things, and you'll notice that sometimes some of it is red, and that means that you can click it and that's a link. So really I did link to Greg Easterbrook's piece, and the way they make it sound, I mean, it's a little mistake, but the way they make it sound is like Greg Easterbrook asked me, will you link to my piece? And I said, no! And then I injured him, and then I insulted him. But I don't know him. I'm sure he's a very nice person, and so I did not mean to injure him or to insult him. All I was saying was that he doesn't really know anything about climate science, and also he can't appear to read anything written by anyone who knows anything about climate science. And given that particular skill set, if I were a guidance counselor, probably one of the last options I'd give him for a career would be expert on climate science. But as it turns out, that's what his job description is. Okay, but why would I tell you that story? Well, I'll tell you that story because it's kind of a small part of a bigger story I'd like to tell you, and I'll start telling that story now. And though it's a very big story, I'll make it very short. Okay, here's the story. Once, let's say about 15 years ago, there were a group of scientists who were doing some research about the climate, and they discovered that, hey, it looks like the world's getting a little warmer, and hey, it looks like there's kind of more greenhouse gases in the air than there used to be, and that would make the world warmer. And so maybe greenhouse gases are making the world warmer. And so they told their friends about that, and some of their friends said, yeah, we pretty much noticed that too, and so did these other people over here. Or they said, oh, really, are you sure? And then they checked it and they said, yeah, that's pretty much right. And that was a long time ago. And then the world got a lot warmer. And then Al Gore, who was a famous vice president of the United States, made a movie about how the world is getting warmer because of greenhouse gases, and how scientists knew that. Then someone named Greg Easterbrook, who doesn't know anything, wrote an article that said, yeah, the world is getting warmer because of greenhouse gases, and yeah, scientists knew that, and I said they didn't, but fuck Al Gore. And then I wrote an article, and then Blogometer wrote an article, and then I made a video, and here we are, and the story's pretty much over.